I have with me today Robin and Alan. Welcome, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello, guys. How are you guys doing?
Not too bad.
Good.
Surviving.
Surviving as usual. How about you,
Yeah.
Alan?
Surviving Champions League football was good.
Yeah. Tell
Yeah.
me about it. The match was over before we started.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was a shellacking.
Yeah, that was.
What was so I'm thinking, is is this a function of the new format in any way, or was Inter just sort of a one-off? Kind of interesting, but you sort of wonder with all of this, did the two best teams make it to the final? I guess so, but it was just hard to imagine that Inter defeated Barcelona and then didn't show up against PSG.
Yeah, that was weird. Well, how do you feel about it? The final, Robin?
I think we're going to do better next year in the final, obviously. But yeah,
Right.
you know, yeah, it was diabolical, wasn't it? Let's be honest. I don't think anyone particularly wanted PSG to win, but Inter didn't really do themselves any favors. So, but yeah, as I said, hopefully we do a lot better next year. I'm sure we will. We've been to a few finals, haven't we? No, we've been been to a few, like high up semi-finals. Hopefully, me and Alan can go. Well, and you, Julian, of course, if we end up in a final again, Alan can spot me in some random crowd of 24,000 fans.
Hey, it worked last time. It worked last time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, like, how? I don't know. How would you sum up our season? Like, we just ended. I was looking back in I think it was episode 3. We were predicting the season. I remember, Robin, you said that we will be in the fourth place, and when I asked you about points, you just said bloody a lot of them. That's what I remember.
Well, in my defence, I had a bet on us to come top four Champions League, and I missed out on it by a bloody point. I mean, I was gutted.
Yes.
There was almost 200 quid I could have got from that. So I was ruling for the fact that we get in top four, not because of the Champions League or anything like that. I wanted to win my money, but and I think back on some of the games, and I just think of how, as much as I'm so happy, and I don't want to start on a negative streak, I just feel like we could have got top four if it hadn't been some of those. I mean, we had a couple of games where we had three players at least sent off red cards, which is quite not really normal for us. We're not really a big red card team, are we? And then that Real Sociedad game, still can't get over that because
Oh, yes. I was going to say, I don't think you have to. I think you can blame the VAR review at that match for your 200 quid, because
oh, yeah.
that was just the most weirdest thing I've ever seen. But overall, I mean, I think if you'd said at the start of the season, Champions League football for next year, we would have been happy. And we did end the season very well. And beating Barcelona is never a bad thing. So yeah, it worked out okay. I must confess that there were periods in the sort of December, January doldrums when I was sort of wondering about it. But apart from one or two matches, we really didn't fall into the trap we often have of playing down to teams' level a lot. And so, you know, and as Robin said, some of the ones where we lost were ones where we had a red card that pretty much conditioned the game.
What do you reckon, Julian?
No, I agree. I agree with you guys' assessment. I think we had a rough patch after, I think, New Year's. I think it was some matches where we just lost and ended up giving away a lead, 2 goal lead, 1 goal lead. It looked a little bit, yeah, I thought maybe we will fall even lower beyond Champions League spot. But I think the hopes came back when the fifth place, I think, for Spanish team qualified for Champions League. Then I was like, okay, maybe we can at least fight for the fifth place. So
Hmm.
that was good, I guess. Um, Yeah, and we had some, I think maybe on top of my head, maybe three awful matches. One you already mentioned, you two mentioned, and there were two other matches where we just didn't show up and we lost. Especially in the home games, we struggled. Yeah, some home games.
Yeah, I think we definitely struggled in some of the home matches during that low period. And that was what was impressive then in the last month and a half or so, was that we went and we played well at home, but we also went on the road and got some big wins too. I think when we did the pod the last time, I was actually really concerned that Betis would, catch us for fifth. And I guess the one thing I would say about the season was that La Liga as a whole was pretty mediocre. Um, and it really seemed like there was a gulf between, um, you look at the teams that qualified for Europa League, and they're quite a ways down from where we finished and where Betis finished. So, didn't seem like there was a lot of depth to the La Liga this year.
I mean, Betis played. They did so well to turn around their season as well. Fair play to play. I mean, they did get Isco and they did get Anthony, so they did turn it around pretty well. But I mean, fair play to them. They did give us chase the whole way up from the bottom. I mean, we were more worried about underneath than we were about getting electric. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was a great old season in the end, and I think we're really good. And credit to Marcelino for completely changing everything. This is so amazing to see how much we've changed since the Setien and all that last turmoil. I mean, it almost feels like we've had turmoil ever since Marcelino left in the first place. But obviously, you had
Mm-hmm.
Emery that did pretty well. Um, but yeah, it's a good old season. I think we could be pretty happy with that really in the end. And we're so prolific. I mean, I think once we sorted out the defence, we definitely improved, haven't we? So
Yeah,
yeah, how
I
do you
agree.
feel about that? What do you think we turned around mid-season? How did we turn it around? Sorry.
I think maybe the players, especially the newcomers, they started to integrate well, and maybe I think and also Foyt's coming back in defense was a key factor. I think we considered half of the goals we conceded in the first period,
Mm-hmm.
and so that was an improvement. But I think the big one has to be maybe the Foyt's coming back, and maybe overall the team understanding each other more, and Cardona is gradually becoming a better left back,
Mm.
and overall maybe understanding each other as a team. And we know as a coach, Marcin is very demanding, so I think that also helped to have a coach like that. That's what I think. What do you guys think?
I thought it was interesting that compared to some years I mean, Villarreal have often finished the season well, but it's generally been a situation like it was last year where you got one player, in that case Sorloth, who was just, suddenly couldn't miss, or 2 years ago, Nicholas Jackson. And and basically the rest of the team is like, okay, we're gonna feed this guy and he's gonna score some goals and we're gonna win. I think what was impressive this year was that I felt that when you looked at the last couple of months of the season, we weren't relying on one particular player. It was like one player would have a really great game, and then another would, and then another would. And it did seem like there was more teamwork. I was really impressed with Pepe, for example, because earlier in the season, I'm like, okay, yeah, I see why we got him, but I'm kind of waiting for him to really mesh with everybody, and he did. Barry, as the year went by, got more used to things. He's still kind of a work in progress, but that was great. And so I thought that we might have to rely more on one person for goals, like Perez, and he did score plenty. But if you go back and look at how we did the last couple of months of the season, there are tons of goal scorers, which is kind of a new thing for us.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. I mean, I definitely didn't have much faith in Barry, if I'm honest. I love the fact you said that Nicolas Jackson could miss, because for me, he could miss so badly. Like, I mean, he's the only person I've ever seen that could practically belt the ball out from inside the box, outside the stadium. It was quite impressive, to be honest. And I think Chelsea fans have found themselves sort of laughing a bit as well, or more, maybe crying. But in terms of, yeah, I think definitely Pepe deserves a big shout out. He's definitely more effective on the wing than he is up front, though. And I
Yes,
think
yes.
Marcelino certainly saw that. I mean, he saw that's going to put a really interesting conundrum for Marcelino next season, because you've got Ilias that's coming back. There's talk of
Hmm.
Buchanan coming back, which I'm not so sure about, and Pepe all playing for that right wing. I mean, arguably you could even put Gerrard out there as well. So that's going to be the most difficult position, I think, next season. So it'd be interesting to see if Pepe actually stays as well, because there has probably been a bit of interest in him, hasn't there? So um, yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, there's been rumors about him maybe moving on, but I think the club wants him to stay.
yeah.
But I echo some of the things you guys said. We usually, as you said, Alan, we are very dependent usually on one or two players, and I thought maybe this season it will be Baena, because
Hmm.
he's been a key player. But like many, like we have had so many goal scorers, even like Pop Gay, he has really improved like last couple of months, scoring a couple of goals. Perez usually scores. But yeah, and Pino towards the end also stepped up. So we
Hmm.
had a lot of players stepping up scoring. So we'll come back to Bayern, what is the situation there. But I feel like we have become a more balanced team now. Like we are not so dependent on one
Yeah,
one key
right.
player. Maybe Ayose, like he's a plus, but overall we have more balanced team than before. So that's good for us.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah.
I think it helped that Pedraza was able to come back too. I mean, I just, he is really with his work rate and everything, and just being able to cross the ball effectively into the box. I mean, that was nice that he was able to come back. So yeah,
Yeah, I think
yeah.
he's been working on his crossing even though he's injured. I think because that was one of the, I mean, I never like to do down my favorite player, but I think he certainly did cross. You're certainly right. He did cross better. The problem for him is you had Cardona, who was just amazing, wasn't he? He had one of the most assists, but I think he struggled more defensively than Pedraza does. Pedraza is better at left back, isn't he? So, than the defensive front, and that's always been the way with Pedraza. He's been better than all the other left backs we've ever had at defending, as well as being quite good at attacking. But I think for me, the player, and I know it's not definitely not it's definitely not. I don't think it's appreciated enough, but I think Comesaña has been for me one of the best
Yes.
players of the season. He's just been so under the radar, but for me, like he's just been absolutely brilliant. I think he's better than Guay, and I think he's been one of our best midfielders by far, and really good signing this season. I'm glad we kept hold of him as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. Kumasana has really stepped up and even scored a couple of goals himself.
Hmm.
Um, and he recently signed, right? So a new contract, or I think
I
I
mean, I
saw
certainly
something.
hope so. He's got potential to be the next Bruno Soriano, I think.
Yeah, he's good at that. Yeah, he's stepped up. But we've been talking about players, but how about Marcelino's performance as a coach and his coaching staff? They are very underrated. We usually just mention Marcelino, but what about the coaching staff also? And how do you rate his performance and their performance?
Well, I don't think you can. I don't think. I mean, there are two ways to look at it. One is to say, we have one of the bigger budgets in the league, so okay, we got what we paid for. But I think that's a little unfair because of various the fact that a club like Athletic Club doesn't have to have the sort of transfer budget and everything that people have. Um, to me, I think you give them high marks because as we were saying, December and January, the team was really in a lull, and instead of that becoming an issue where we never, we never came out of it, we certainly did come out of it very well, and that was So I give a lot of credit. I also give credit to couldn't have been an easy decision to switch goalkeepers, and we did that, and I think that played well too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was, remember we mentioned, I think we talked about it
Yeah, we did
before the
We're like,
switch.
yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, how do you guys think he solved that goalkeeper situation, Robin? How do you think he solved it?
It's for me, it's interesting because I don't think Conde did a lot wrong, and I actually, if I'm honest, I prefer Conde to Junior. I don't know why. I think it's more of a commanding presence, and I think Conde's better at the sort of the height thing. So I'm not entirely sure if it was actually down to switching the goalkeeper that changed things much. I think Junior at times did look a bit unstable as well. So I think I'm going to have to go back to you two on that one, really, because maybe I haven't noticed it as much. But for me, I don't think Conte did a lot wrong, really. So it's going to be interesting to see if he actually stays at the club, really, because I think he played so well that he could easily get into any of the La Liga sides. Um, yeah, what do you think, Julian?
Yeah.
No, I think for me it's been a very unfair for Conde because he was injured when he was performing well, and then when he came back, he I think he started one match and then he got benched after that. So I think that was a bit rough, very difficult decision probably for Marcelino, but also very difficult position for the coach because they invested a lot of money in Junior. So maybe they felt, or the president or the club maybe put some pressure, or because you can't bench a goalkeeper who you spent a lot of money on. So it's a tricky, very tricky. But I feel both of them, they are same level. I actually don't see any. They in a weird way, Junior is good at something that Conde is not good at. Some attributes, for example, corner handlings. I think Junior is far better at commanding corners, while Conde, he's a bit panicky. But I feel much more safe with Conde as a goalkeeper so far.
Yeah.
But obviously, it's a very difficult decision. So yeah, I want to hear your opinion too, Alan, on this situation.
Well, I'm just looking as we're talking about it. To me, the one difference between the two is that I think Conde is not as good at stopping long shots, and that was how teams were scoring against us, was, shots from outside the box and whatnot. I don't think that's one of his strengths. And Junior is, as you said, he's better at set piece situations. The thing he needs to work on is his positioning sometimes. I think his reflexes are great. It's just, and I think he's more effective at stopping shots from outside the box for that reason. Sometimes his positioning can be he'll be a little bit too much toward one side of the goal or something. But I don't know. I mean, I was looking at not that I believe all their methodology all the time, but looking at something like who scored, they definitely have Junior quite a bit above Conde. And to me, maybe it's just I like, in spite of Conde's excellent mustache, Junior just seems to be a vital presence there, and I felt more comfortable with him actually. So I guess it's just
okay.
it's what you. Yeah, it's 6 and 1/2 dozen of the other, but
True, it's true. And also
yeah,
one factor that we don't mention or people don't mention is that when Conde was goalkeeper, Marciano was still figuring out his defensive, like his
true.
center backs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So a lot of those goals, and there was coming because the team didn't understand each other. One week, Willie will play next to Costa. Next week was another team, another pair. So yeah, so the stats might mislead, or it doesn't show like the whole picture, because when Junior came back, they already Masina found a pair. So it was Foyt and Costa for the most part. So
Yeah,
yeah, that too.
yeah, that's true. I think that's a fair comment. I do think though that in terms of saving long shots and in terms of distributing the ball out long,
Mm,
that Junior has got more advantage there. Um, I don't. I mean, Conde had a couple of soft goals that he
yeah.
let in over the course of the season. Everybody does, but you're
Mm,
right. It wasn't like it was such a. I don't know that the front office put pressure on Marcelino. I wouldn't think so, but I think I think you just have to go with what you see and in training and everything too. And maybe Marcelino thought, well, it's this time
yeah.
um, to give a guy a
Mm,
chance. Yeah.
It's interesting. We've never been in this position before, have we? I mean, I don't remember it. At one point, we had Asenko and Rulli, but for me, Asenko was always better than Rulli. So it's quite interesting that we've got this situation where we've got two keepers of equal quality. Um, but I was going to ask you both, kind of, do you think we're going to change? Do you think we're going to start doing signings for centre back? Because obviously Bailey's definitely leaving. Raul Albiol's obviously going, so there is space there, isn't it? And I certainly don't think Willie is nearly good enough to be in that centre back role for me. So, do you think we'll sign some more
No.
centre backs or something?
Well, as I quote one of the founders of Villarreal USA, Sid, or one of the early people, you can never have too many center backs. I think, because of injuries and everything else. So I think, yeah, we definitely should, especially since your best pairing involves Foyth and Costa, and Foyth can play out at right back too. I think getting a right back who can replace or supplant over time Feminia would be good. And then I think getting a center back, yeah, is kind of important.
mm. Yeah, you guys touched on. I think Robin, you touched on Albion leaving. So I don't know if you guys watched the post match after Sevilla match, where they had some few words. The club had some few words about Albiol, who had his last days in the club. So we're just gonna ask, like, how important has he been as a player? Honestly, for me, in the beginning, I was very skeptical of us signing him. He was
I remember.
yeah, I remember. He was old. I was like, oh, we don't need another old defender.
Yeah.
So, but he has really stepped up for me. Really, like, become a father figure or a role model for many of the young players. So, can we just say some words, like, how do you feel about him
Yeah.
leaving the club?
I find it quite funny, really, because he came in and the alternatives we had at centre back, if I remember rightly, was Dorado and Funes Mori and a very, very, very young Pau Torres. So he sort of came in, and for me, he was like a god. Like we couldn't have got a better centre back compared to the kind of what we had as centre backs back then. I mean, Funes Mori, bless him, he was brilliant header of the ball, but he wasn't much else, to be honest. So I think he was a blessing in disguise when he came. And I remember at the time when we were talking VRL USA, and there was a lot of cynicism from a lot of people, and that's completely fair enough. He'd just come out of Serie A and he looked a bit sort of faded and everything like that, but he completely changed everything. And for me, the only thing that's ever gone wrong with him is his speed, his lack of speed, and that was going to come with his age. So. Um, I mean, I know you don't need to be the paciest player in the world as a centre back, but I think when you're pushing 40 as a centre back in your top La Liga side, then you're probably clutching at straws a bit. But yeah, I think he's really good, and I think tribute to him as well. I think he made Pau Torres the centre back he is today. You know, I don't think Pau would have got half his way around the world. I mean, even going to Birmingham from Villarreal, if it hadn't been for Albiol really helping him and really
Yeah.
supported him. So I think, you know, he's definitely always welcome back in the club in my eyes as a defensive coach. So what about you, Alan? What do you reckon?
Oh, I'd love to see him back as a defensive coach because I think that's basically been a lot of what he's been doing. I'm sure he's been working with Costa and Willie also because he's, you know, we signed him in July 2019, and I think when we did, if you had said he's going to be with you for 6 years and you're going to win a Europa League, you know, in those 6 years, I think we would have taken that in a heartbeat. um,
For
he's
sure.
he's yeah, he's just. I think even even at his age, or basically just his body wearing out, where he just couldn't play as much as he used to. He's still his positioning, his intelligence, and just his overall understanding of the game. I think so much to learn from him. So yeah, I thought that was a really, really touching tribute to him, and yeah, I hope he comes back in some sort of coaching role and works with Villarreal for a long time because he's certainly welcome. He'll never have to buy a drink in the town. I know that.
You'll have to buy me a
True.
drink. I don't mind.
Yeah. Um. I was. Oh, I've been thinking about this because since the players have a lot of the players have stepped up. We mentioned that this season was a season where players like they played like a team and everyone stepped up. But
Hmm.
do you guys know, or is the one player who impressed you guys more than others? Do For me personally, I would say Ayoze Perez impressed me a lot, just because of how much we bought him for and the expectations of him. So for me, Ayoze Perez really stepped up, and I was surprised when I looked at the top scorers of the league, and I just saw him scoring 18 plus. I don't know how many goals he scored, but it was more than 18 goals, and you don't think about it because he always scores every other match or maybe 2 goals a match.
Hmm.
So, but
Hmm.
yeah, so he impressed me a lot. And but who impressed you guys the most? Maybe Alan, if you want, you can start.
Well, we already talked about Comasanya. I think he was certainly one. Um, I actually thought that, and I mentioned Pepe, and especially in the second half of the year. I actually thought that Baena impressed. I mean, I know what his talents were, but he actually did manage to get through the season with fewer yellow cards than the past, and I don't know. I mean, to me, he's a player who, when he would go through these periods of play where if I were a defender, I would just be hiding behind the goal because he can almost be unplayable when he's at his best, and
Mm.
so he impressed me in that sense. Um, I would say that yeah, probably Comasanya impressed me. I think also Foyth, especially coming back and playing at center back, turned out to be a really good, really important thing. It's easier to think about people who didn't contribute or who we probably won't keep around rather than pick out one or two players because I felt like everybody pretty much gave their best and impressed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I can't argue with that really at all. I was thinking very much the same. I don't think any player really disappointed. I don't think Willie was particularly good, if I'm honest. I think he was drove my nerves to shreds. It was like having Rooney outside the pitch. Um, but
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I mean, for me, Comesaña has been the one that's impressed me the most. I know Alan mentioned him, but for me, just his work rate, he was never injured despite being one of the most physical players on the pitch. Completely, and he made what I think his biggest credentials were in this. He made Parejo look good again. I mean, I don't want to. I've really been impressed with Parejo this season. Actually, I think he's had some really good games. He's been a lot more consistent than he has been previous years, and I think
Yeah.
that is down to the fact that he's had a really good defensive midfielder alongside him to kind of do the legwork. I mean, I know using the word Parejo and legwork in the same sentence is not really normal, but I think Parejo's been actually really good. He's been phenomenal this season. He played some really good. There's one game I think I can't remember which one it was, but some of the through balls and the passes were just amazing, and he was so good. So I think I'm going to have to put Comisani and Parejo in that midfield was just unstoppable. And I still have flashbacks and nightmares to Capoue and Parejo basically walking up the pitch, under
Oh,
Setien,
oh
and that
yeah,
was
on the
just
city
horrific.
end. Yeah,
So for
Yeah,
me, those two have been world class this season for me, absolutely.
yeah, true.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I th I think the sad thing is that the sad thing looking back at the season is that I feel like Gerard's body is just, you know, I feel sorry for him because when he's been able to play consistently, you see what he can do, but he's just had so many injuries, and that's been one of the real disappointments, I guess.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
tough.
that's been
What do you think we were going to do? Sorry, Julian. What do you think we're going to do with him?
Hard to know because I mean his contract runs. He's got one more year on it, does he? I'm trying to remember. Contract expires 2027, so he's got 2 years. Um, I don't think we'll release him or sell him particularly, but I don't know. I mean, this has definitely got to be his last contract with us, and I don't know. Would you sell him to another club in La Liga? I don't think so. Um, and I don't see him wanting to go outside Spain particularly.
Julian, what do you reckon?
with Gerard. I think he's always wanted to go back to Espanyol, so maybe a return there, maybe next season. But I think he will. I hope at least maybe I will give him one more season because this season, unfortunately for him and for us, as much as he's one of my favorite players, he has been struggling with injuries and
Yeah, yeah.
hopefully
My,
this summer, yeah.
yeah, I don't know if this is how you can work things with players or not, but I think what I would do is ask him to take a salary reduction for this coming year, and then just say we'll let you go to Espanyol on a free. That's what I would say.
Yeah.
Um, because I feel like that's probably best for him, and as you say, that's where he'd like to go. So that kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but and he'll always be a player that when you look at his history with Villarreal,
Mm.
done so much. So I don't think he has to stick around until the bitter end.
I
No,
think
that's true.
we're going to struggle to we're ever going to struggle to beat his goal record. I mean, he's a top goal scorer for VRL, isn't he? And I can't imagine that we'll ever get another striker that's consistently wanting to be up there on top and staying with the club because anyone else would have been signed a long time ago.
Yeah,
You
Yep.
know,
exactly.
with the
Yeah,
goals and the way he plays. I mean, he's. It's not often I say it because I'm not the keenest on strikers, but he's a beautiful striker to watch. Like the
Mm.
way he is with the ball, the tricks, the skills. It's not flashy. He knows exactly what he's doing. Like on his day, he is one of the most beautiful footballers to watch. I mean, the way he plays is so unorthodox as well. It's not a typical number nine. It's not a typical striker. It's just getting the ball and then suddenly out of the blue, it's a goal going there. I
Yep.
think, I think that's a really good shout. I think, we keep him at the club for one more season. He plays the sort of Champions League games. He comes on as sub, and and has a really good season with Villarreal next season if he can. And then maybe move him on to Espanyol, and if that's works for everyone, then that's pretty good. I mean, we have got, is it Young in the back
Yeah,
line as
Yeah.
well? Be
yeah,
great to see him get a full-time performance. He scored that goal, didn't he? And
yeah.
I think he's going to be very good. He looks like in a weird way, he looks like a better version of Jackson and Barry together. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens, but I think he's probably going to get signed up pretty quickly, and not
Yeah.
stick around.
Yeah, I think I think Gerard, the thing about him is I think back to the year we were in Segunda, and when Marcelino basically put him in the team, and and it was like immediately you notice this guy, and it's like, yeah, he's still doing the same thing 12, 13 years later. It's just his, not as effectively because he's older, but he's always been one of those players who just has that instinctive knack of dropping to the right place to get the ball, and he is somebody who makes everybody else around him look better, and that,
For sure.
you can't ask that. So
No, that's true. That's true. He's like in the link between the midfield and the strikers.
yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
But he can't sprint more than 20 meters. Like
Not
it's
now.
ridiculous.
No.
Like you see him and he's gone. It's like, no, Gerard, stop! Don't move. Just stay
Yeah,
there. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Don't strain your hamstring
yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah,
The moment he starts running, you're just like, just someone tackle him. Just put him on the floor. He'll start hobbling and holding his hamstring. No, Gerard, it's fine. Just don't do anything.
yeah, yeah. No,
It's like,
yeah, he's. I really do feel like he's. This will probably be his last season. Yeah, but with Villarreal, but what a career.
what a career. Yeah, he's been there for over a decade now. So, and
Yeah.
he has achieved uh, what any Villarreal player can achieve, and is to win a trophy. So, like he has done what he came for. So
Yeah.
now maybe the only thing he can bring maybe to the table is experience in Champions League if he stays fit. I
Hmm.
think we need some of that. To be honest, we lost a key uh, player now with Albiol, although he was old, but we need experience, and having Gerard there next season could be important if he stays fit.
Yeah. Although don't forget, it hasn't been that long since we made it to the semifinals of the Champions League. So
Yeah,
we have more players now who have experienced it. I but yeah, I think if you look at the strike force, if we can hang on to a Young and give him some playing time, you got Barry, you got Perez, you got Gerard. I think that's all great. And if it turns out that Barry or Ayon can really catch fire, that's not bad.
mm.
Um, so I think the big question is what the wings will look like.
Yeah,
As you mentioned, on one side we've got almost too many players, uh,
yeah.
and then if what about Baena if he goes? Do we think he'll go? I mean, the negotiations with Atleti seem to be stalling for some reason.
Yeah, they look like they are like trying to lowball us and offer us shameless bids. But I think personally he will leave this season. I think in order for us to move on and sign new players, I think we need a big transfer. And Bayern, unfortunately, is the hot player now.
Yeah, I don't want to see a repeat of the year where we thought we were going to sell Rossi to Barcelona and we waited around, and then we ended up selling Santi instead, and
Mm,
we didn't really get the money early enough to do anything.
yeah,
Uh, but I mean, the thing that might help us is I keep thinking Emery will want Baena.
maybe. I
yeah,
mean,
but yeah. What do you think, Erwin? Do you think Emery will want him?
I don't know. I think Bayern has always said that he wants to go to a top four club at any Premier League, and I'm not sure Aston Villa is quite there. I mean, I think he would do very well there, but for me, I don't think Bayern is going to do very well in the Premier League at all. He rolls around, he has tantrums, he gets clattered. So I think he would probably, if he came to the Premier League, he'd probably last one season at best, and then he'd probably back. He's not Pau Torres, so. It's quite rare. I know not to generalize at all, but I think it's quite rare you see a Spanish midfielder that lasts a long time in the Premier League. So normally it's like a season, isn't it? So I think he's probably definitely going to go to Atletico. Definitely go there. I think there was tears in his eyes at the end of that game, so I'm pretty sure he's going. It will be a nightmare if he does go to Atletico again because that Bayern Sorloth partnership was incredible for us, so he's just going to emulate that and probably get even better there. But I think we've said before in terms of chat that I think he's reached his peak with us. I don't think we can really offer him much else as well. And if anything, if we get a good 60 million for him and we get a decent winger and a midfielder, I think that's what we need. And I think that's what Marcelino needs because as much as I like Bayana, I don't think he's a typical winger on that left side. So I think that's always, much as Marcelino really likes him and has done great things, he's not that what Marcelino really wants there. He wants to play an old-fashioned 4-4-2 with a winger on there. So, but I did see some positive news. Well, maybe positive. Alan, I know you're a big Javi Guerrero fan, aren't you, from Valencia? Or is it Ivan Martin? You like one of those two, don't they? But there was always a link. There was always a link that they would be replaced in the centre with that. So,
Oh,
um,
okay. Yeah. I I think, yeah, to me it's like it's interesting because I'm kind of agreeing with you, Robin, that I think he's leaving. I think it's just a question of where and for how much, and I think we're fine to sort of, I don't know. I see, I know what you mean about players, not Spanish players, not, being able to sort of hold up to the physicality of the Premier League, but damn, he's just so good. I, I would, if I were Emery and could swing a deal for him for 50 million, 60 million, I'd do it. Um, but
Yeah.
that's I just think he's that good, and I do think I think he's adaptable too. I mean, I yes, he has the writhing on the ground thing when he gets hit and everything, but he didn't annoy me as much this year with some of the that he has in pre. So
Yeah.
maybe it's, yeah, whether that's me or him, I don't know.
I think
Um,
that's definitely you, Alan, because
I think it's
he's still the most annoying. Like if I played football with him, I'd probably belt him one. I mean, I'd be on his, and even if I was
At
on his
least.
team, I want to belt him one. So
Yeah.
you're still you're still in England, so you're still able to yeah. Um,
get away with it.
anyway, so
I,
the other thing I had this idea. We haven't talked about this guy. I was thinking of our loanees. Danjuma is coming back, right?
oh my, yeah, don't. Oh, Alan,
Oh, it was so close to getting to the end of the podcast without mentioning that
I was
wanker.
waiting.
No,
Oh no.
I got an idea. I got an idea.
All
So
right.
what we do is we offer Danjuma to Rayo as part of a swap deal where we get Andre Ratiu, who's had a great season as right back, came up in our Cantera. There we go. We filled right back.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
So you
would
okay?
Rio
And we
actually
got rid
want
of
him?
Danjuma.
If anything, they wouldn't take him for free. So
It's like you buy Ratiu for 10 million or you buy Ratiu for 15
yeah,
million plus Danjuma.
yeah, they'd be like, what? They'd be like, we'll be begging them to take us. They'd be like, oh well, as long as you give us 2 million plus Dan Juma just to get right.
Well, at this point, his contract he's only got 1 year left, so his
Yeah.
contract is pretty much amortized. So, regardless of what we do, it's not, I mean, it's just one of those deals that didn't work out. But I mean, it did briefly.
It did. Yeah, it did under Emery.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it
But
did.
yeah, I think he had higher ambition. I think he used Villarreal as a, or he tried to use Villarreal like as a stepping stone, and then yeah, it backfired.
Yeah, but for me, it's like, what the hell went through his head? Like, I mean, what, like, I just the thought process in his mind to think that he could just like step, and he wasn't even that good. Like, I mean, he was okay in the Champions League, wasn't he? But I
Mhm.
don't know. For me, it's not even disappointment; it's just pure dislike of him, which is
Yeah,
really bad. But all the Everton, all the Tottenham stuff, it just really just assesses his character.
yeah,
I mean, and I guess Albiol's leaving, and I know they had a big fight, didn't they? And I can
mm,
completely understand Albiol's side of things. So, um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
I think the problem is I remember when in the Champions League, yeah, I mean the match against Atalanta where we had to win there, Danjuma was terrific, and he would show that, but then over time we saw it less and less, and it's just sending him out on these loans where he just sort of mopes around and plays 700 minutes in a season or whatever it is. I mean, it just seemed to feed on itself. Um, I
yeah.
mean, when was the last time any of us thought about him? I mean,
In my nightmares, I think.
yeah, but I mean, it's like we haven't really paid attention to him at all. I mean, he scored goals with us, and then he goes in 2 games or 3 games or something, and then he goes to Girona and scores two in the entire year.
yeah. That's yeah.
In all
And then even
seriousness,
the Girona coach, criticized him.
yeah, I wanted to
So
send him
it's
back.
something. Yeah, yeah. He was like, so you never
And
used him after that. Like, so it's something with his ego. His ego is unfortunately he's a good player, but his ego is
Yeah,
yeah.
well, it wouldn't be the first one. We've had,
Mm,
where's Gio dos Santos these days?
oh God, probably still playing for LA Galaxy, isn't he? But
Oh,
yeah,
is he still there? I don't even know. I thought that his brother was the better player, and I thought they think he's still playing. I don't know about Gio.
didn't they
I
open
mean,
a restaurant or something? I'm sure they had us open up a restaurant chain or
Yeah, I
something,
heard
haven't
about
they?
it. Yeah, yeah. I heard
Yeah.
something about that.
yeah, they did. That's right. Dos Santos restaurant. Well, somehow I
Oh.
don't. Unless Gio got free drinks out of it, I don't think he got any. Wikipedia says he's a Mexican former footballer, so he hasn't played since 2021.
All right.
Oh,
Very
okay.
good. Yeah. Well,
So,
the funny thing about Dan Juma was that the Girona coach tried to send him back to us, and we didn't accept him. No,
yeah,
no, you keep him. He's fine. Don't be so generous. Yeah. So, I mean, but in all
Oh,
seriousness, what do we think we're actually going to do with him? I mean, presumably we are just going to release him.
yeah, yeah.
oh, yeah. One thing is for certain, he's not gonna play for Villarreal. Yeah,
No, he's not gonna. He's
so
not
yeah,
gonna play.
that's over.
He's not gonna play for Marcelino. No.
Yeah, yeah, that's over.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah,
the only reason he went to Girona was I think he demanded he wanted Champions League football, and that
yeah,
backfired too.
Yeah,
yeah,
touch of
yeah.
irony
So
there, isn't there? But yeah,
irony. Yep.
he'll probably end up in the Netherlands or something like that, won't he? And hopefully we never have to think about him again. I mean, to be fair, he's not quite Alcácer failure, but he's pretty
No.
much up there. If you sort of judge the cost of things, because didn't we spend like 20 million on him or something ridiculous? I
Yeah,
don't know.
20 plus. Yeah.
We spent a good amount of money on him, but we spent
He's
Something
definitely
24,
20s.
20,
25.
yeah, something 24 mil, 20. That's right. It was like 18 million pounds or 20 million pounds, but something like that. So yeah,
Right.
it hasn't worked out, but it's better than Robin's favorite striker from Valencia that we signed.
Paco?
Yeah,
Oh,
Wow.
God,
What a great
sweet.
striker. Robert,
Yeah, I mean, value
what
for
a
money,
terrific
absolutely spectacular. Touches on the ball. Oh my
quality
God.
striker.
Yeah,
yeah,
God knows where he is now. I think he was trying to push to come back to Valencia, and I don't think they wanted him. And this is Valencia that was in relegation battle.
yeah.
Oh, I have one destination for Danjuma. I think
Oh,
maybe Middle East would be a nice place for him.
yeah, he's like
I
that.
enjoy that.
What
Yeah,
do you
he
guys
might.
think? Yeah, I think he will enjoy that. Yeah.
Well, he might. The problem is, though, it's like he's not. The players that go there are usually guys who have got some name recognition and are trying to cash in on it. And Danjuma, apart
Yeah,
from
true.
us, doesn't have a lot of name recognition.
Yeah, he ruined that one 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So But if I'm sure we'd be happy to sit around, and if some team from the Middle East came in offering, 5 or 10 million, we'd snap it up. But I don't know. I kind of like sending him to Rio myself, but it probably won't work.
Yeah, yeah, it'd be
It
interesting to see
depends.
Ryan
Maybe if
actually
they
want
play in Europe. Are they playing in Europe?
They are
Maybe he
playing.
will.
Yeah, well, I assume they are. I'm not sure if that three-sided ground is going to pass UEFA requirements, but probably, yeah, they are supposed to play in Europe. Yeah,
Oh, they are okay. Cool.
yeah, yeah. They qualified for the Conference League, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me
Yeah,
see the table.
yeah, I think.
Yeah, 8
Yeah,
Conference
yeah,
League qualification.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Conference
he'll
League.
probably wait. He'll probably wait till August, and then if Rayo qualifies, he will say, "I will go. I want to go to Rayo."
He'll
Well,
probably turn up on the door and we'll say, "Who are you?"
well, if he says that, that's going to be the best recognition the Conference League has had.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah,
yeah, and it, but yeah, I think, I mean, he will, and most of our other loanees are pretty young and still, the ones we loaned out, like from the B team to various Segunda sides. We'll probably renew those for another year. I think most of those guys did okay, but I wouldn't say any of them were clamoring to get in the first team.
Taratz did well, didn't he?
Terraz,
Well,
yeah.
Tourette's did well. Yeah, Tourette's did well with Hitafe, but that's that's different. I was thinking of the guys
Mm.
like Flores and Pascual, people like
Yeah,
that.
Oh, okay.
And what's it? Hussein? Is it Hassan? Hassan. Yeah,
The
been
winger?
playing. Yeah, I've been playing in
Yeah,
Segunda.
yeah.
Hmm.
yeah.
Oh, that's another name just off the top of my head that did quite well. Pau Navarro. We didn't mention him at all, but he's been pretty good at right back, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has done pretty well.
Yeah,
So
he's not a centre back, I don't think, but he's a right back.
I think he
yeah,
could play both, but yeah, right back. Yeah, that's where he has been playing recently.
I was quite
Um,
impressed with him in a few games, and he reminds me of a sort of younger Foyth. He's definitely not like a
yeah,
attacking in any way or form, but he's
yeah,
very, very good at crossing
very
over the ball.
sit back type
Yeah,
of defender.
yeah, but very
Doesn't
very
go up.
good 1-to-1. Yeah, very
Yep,
good
yep.
1-to-1. Yeah. So yeah, yeah. I mean, he's only 20,
21 something.
20. So he'll
mm,
be. I would think that he would be somebody that we would definitely be looking at for more minutes this coming year.
Yeah.
Um, looking at I mean, and we mentioned the Elias coming back, which is going to be interesting. I don't know. I liked what I saw of Buchanan. I just wonder if he's going to be, if Jeremy is still around. Do we need, and you already have Jeremy and Elias? Do you need Buchanan?
I guess
I,
Jeremy's
yeah.
better on the left, isn't he, than the right? That's why I
Yeah.
noticed that his better games are there. So I think Marcelin's going to move him over to the left, and then we're going to
Yeah.
have different right wings. And I think Pepe is going to be our right winger, really.
Yeah.
With
So
this, but I don't think. I mean, Buchanan was good, and he can also play at right back, can't he? But I just think he's. I feel sorry for him if he did sign for us because I think he would very much be in the back and on the bench in a way because I think Ilias Marcelino really favours Ilias. I mean, I
Hmm.
like Ilias, but he's not.
Mm.
The problem for me, frustrating thing with Ilias is he's never very good at shooting. He's very good at all the flashy stuff and running,
Yeah.
but and crossing, but he's just not very good at striking, is he? The ball.
well, but he's only 21. He could
Yeah,
improve that. I mean, I
and he
think,
has improved. Yeah, to credit to
and he,
him.
but I think Buchanan may be sort of. I can't really see Inter selling him to us for a low enough amount that we would say we'll do it just to put him third on the depth chart.
Yeah,
But
Julian, what do you reckon?
No, I agree with you, Robert. I think they will move Pino on the left. I think after probably when Bayana leaves, I think we will see Pino on the left and possibly another left winger. There's been talks about the Moldairo or something. He's from Las
Mm,
Palmas.
yeah.
So I think him and Pino will compete on the left, and then Pepe and Ilias or Ilia will compete on the right.
Right.
Buchanan, I don't know. I don't know where he fits in that picture. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. And let's see, we have Dennis
Let's
Suarez,
see.
Yeah,
who,
Dennis is going to leave, I think. I mean,
Yeah, Dennis is
you
yeah.
know,
he
yeah,
could easily get into any other squad, but I think he would just. It was a very strange signing from the start, really. I mean, it was great to see him, and I think in times when we seen him, but he came back and he was straight away injured and stuff like that, and we thought, oh God, no,
Mm.
going for that. I think he could easily get into one of the other schools, maybe Rio again. We're putting all of our players in Rio now,
Yeah,
but
put the Danjuma, Dennis,
yeah,
Eric Bailly,
the
somebody.
VRL B team.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see us. I don't see us really doing a whole lot with Dennis. So I think he's going to be. Yeah. Well, I guess Hassan we sold to Oviedo. Why is that? I think we probably have a buyback clause though.
Okay.
But we did sell him, and they're in the playoffs for the Segunda, so
Mm.
he could make it. Santi is still playing for them at age 30 something.
Santi Cazorla?
Yeah,
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Wow. Still playing. Okay.
Seems to just
Wow.
love football, doesn't he?
well, he basically this was the team that he started with. Yeah, he's 40 years old. He started
Wow.
he started with them, and he wanted to be get them back to the Primera, and they are in the playoffs, but they needed some help the last day and they didn't get it, so they're in the playoffs as opposed to going up. So
Okay. I saw news now, like today, I think. Do you guys remember Donny Rabba?
Yeah, he's
yeah,
signed for Valencia, isn't
Guess where he went?
he? Yeah, he's at Valencia.
Valencia now.
Yeah.
oh, really?
Yeah. That's gonna be interesting next season if he gets some minutes there.
Yeah, he's a tricky
Yeah,
little player, isn't he? He's not been bad over the times
No,
I've seen him.
yeah.
he played. That's right. He played for Leganes and they were relegated, so that kind of makes sense.
Makes
No, he's
yeah.
not. He's not terrible. He's not bad. He's just he, he's never really he's just never really impressed all that much. Whatever happened to Fernino? He was the other guy that.
He's at
Anino,
Burgas.
yeah.
He's at Burgas. Yeah. It's a
Oh
shame
yeah,
because I really liked him. I think I was probably his only fan. But I was thinking about getting a Burgas t-shirt. No, I'm joking. But I
oh
think,
yeah,
yeah, I really liked him because he was that season where we just had that old difficult and we tried to play 4-3-3. It was when we had Gerrard and Alcácer and Carlos Backus,
yeah,
Mm.
and he was
yeah,
just pretty consistent. So I quite liked him.
Yeah, I remember he made some good goals. I remember.
yeah. He had a couple good
Uh,
goals for us there. Yeah,
yeah.
Then I
Oh,
think what happened was he ended up going to Mallorca as well, and they just basically played him out of formation because he's definitely like a 4-4-2 striker, and everyone just played him 4-3-3 because he was a tall, lanky holding
right.
midfielder.
yeah,
He couldn't hold the ball. He wasn't like that kind of striker. So um,
Mm.
yeah,
right,
I
right.
imagine there's some buyback option on him, but I doubt we'd do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I would think not. I realize Paco Alcácer is only 31 still. Good
Is
Lord.
he?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, yeah. Born August 1993.
Jesus.
And playing for Sharjah FC, which is
Middle
a
East?
team. Yeah, this is a team we let him go to, and then he got loaned for a year, and he's been back with them. I'm sure he scored. Well, he hasn't done much. He scored one goal so far this in 14.
Wow,
Uh,
impressive.
impressive.
I mean, he set the Valley alight there, hasn't he? Let's
Yeah,
get Vieto back. Vieto would be great. Why not?
Vieto. Why not?
is he back in? He's back in Argentina, right?
Yeah, he is. He
Yeah,
seems like
Rob.
it.
Yeah, yeah. I know your favorite player.
I mean, that season, even you got to admit, Alan, he was beautiful to watch in those
Oh, he
games.
was. Yeah, he was great. He was great. Um, you know, he was that one year. He was kind of like Sorloth was with us in the sense where
Yeah.
you got to the. I mean, completely different style, but you just knew if you got him the ball, he was going to score.
Yeah.
Um, and
Remember him and Dennis
Oh God, yeah,
They had good chemistry. They understood each other so well. I remember
yeah.
like crossing with the passing. They
yeah,
already, yeah. So that was a good duo there.
Must have been the blonde hair, I think. They could see each other.
Yeah,
But I still remember, yeah, he scored that goal against Atletico, which was so nice, and I think that's why they signed him. And
yeah.
then
that's why
moved
we
He,
him.
signed it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yes, yes.
Never,
Oh,
yeah, we didn't get that much out of it. I think we made a lot more money off Vieto than they did, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
true, true.
I still can't believe Bakambu's playing for Betis. Like he should. He's just like it's sad to see Bakambu
Mm.
like that. He was so prolific for us, really, wasn't
Yeah, and I always felt he wanted to come back to Villarreal, because
he?
when we had the cardboard cutouts in the stand, he wanted one of him and everything, and that was, but somehow it just never worked out. I don't know if it was the coaching issues or
We ran out of cardboard, I think.
yeah, money, but he never. Um, and to be fair, at Betis, he hasn't exactly set the world alight. I mean, he's been okay, but um, he's not done that well that we would say, "Oh, look at what we missed."
Yeah, exactly. And the age, it's yeah. We need to.
Yeah, and he scored 2 goals he scored two goals in La Liga in 25 matches, but 7 in 14 matches in the Conference League, which probably
Really?
tells us what we need to know about the Conference League. Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah.
sums up that division or the league or tournament.
Well, they scored. What did he do? He scored 3 against a Portuguese team, and he scored two more against Jagiellonia. I don't know who they are. And then he scored 1 against Ghent and 1 against. Yeah, I mean the quality of the teams he was going up against were not exactly great.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
but anyway,
Anyway.
um, yeah. So yeah.
That was fun, man. It's been a while since we've been talking. I think we could have talked for one more hour at least.
Well,
So
at
that's been
least,
so
but
much
we probably shouldn't because we do want people to listen to this.
for
Yeah,
sure, for sure. I think we should we could do it next time maybe.
yeah. It's a
Yeah,
pleasure to be talking.
Yeah,
later in the summer once we've gotten more movement in the squad. I think.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good plan. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoy your day or your evening or night, wherever you might be. And let's do it again, maybe later this summer when things have moved a little
Sounds
bit.
good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Take care, guys.
See you later, folks.
Yeah.
All right.